Hello everyone, I am Tim with Golf Cart Garage. We are back again for another weekly session where we answer people's questions. We answer emails, we answer some live questions. This is Thursday, February the 3rd. We are live on Facebook and YouTube right now at the same time. We're going to do this again. We're going to go through these questions and see if we can help some people out, see if we can save some people some money, maybe take some live questions also at the same time. Talk about different things having to do with golf cars. Let's get started with question number 1. I have a 2004 Club Car Precedent. It has been modified and is great. Put new batteries in 2.5 years ago. The last 2 times I used the cart, it would lose power and die after about 15 holes. I've been pretty good about keeping batteries tended with water. Nothing visibly wrong with the batteries. Is there anything to do here, or do I have to buy a new battery pack? Two and a half years on your battery pack, that's pretty quick. You know, I would you have 2 choices here. You could take it to a golf cart shop, and what they're going to do at the golf cart shop is they're going to test your battery pack as a whole. It's a discharge tester that will discharge your battery pack, and during that test they'll be able to find which one of your batteries is dropping out. See, batteries don't die all at the same time. They never die at the same time. One of them is always going to die first. Sometimes prematurely it's going to die. So being only 2.5 years old, you could consider replacing just one battery, and it may help you out a lot. Because if you're only getting 15 holes of golf, that's not very good. You should get at least 18, maybe even more, on a full good set of batteries. So you could do that. They're going to charge you for that, obviously. Or you could try to find the battery that's dropping out yourself. I'm sure I've talked about this before, but they make alligator clips to put on your voltmeter. And what you're going to do is when your car fails, like after it starts dying at 15 holes, that would be the best time to start doing this test, is after it starts losing power. You're going to put your voltmeter on each one of your batteries with the alligator clips, so it holds onto the battery, and then you're going to drive your car with your voltmeter in the seat beside you, looking at your voltage. During that time when your car's dying like that, one of your batteries is going to be dropping out. It's going to be falling on its face. Like, you know, if you got 12 volt batteries in there, you should see the volts go from 12 volts when you take off, should go down to like 8 or something. That would be your bad battery. And you could, or if you had 6 8-volt batteries, do the same thing. You know, you'd be looking for an 8-volt battery to drop down to like 6 or less. That would be a big drop compared to the rest. You're looking for one battery that it drops way more than the rest of them do. So in other words, you're going to do this 6 times if you have 8 batteries. You're going to do it 4 times if you have 4 batteries. That would be your 2 choices there. You just need to get your whole battery pack tested, or do your load test yourself individually. Let's see, number 2. I'm starting to rebuild 2006 Yamaha G22, and I need some advice on what I'm going to need. Well, it depends. You know, when you say you're starting to rebuild it, what are you trying to do? Is this a stock car? You just want to make it a nice again? Is it lifted? Well, some of the things that wear out is anything in the steering area that moves. Pretty much everything in the rear end, you know, stays steady, stays still. And Yamaha uses coilover shocks, so they don't have leaf springs. So you don't have leaf springs bushings on a Yamaha G22. So the only bushings that you have that could be replaced are going to be in the front end area. So, you know, when you're taking that front end apart, if you're looking around on the front end, look for the bushing areas, you know, that might be worn, or might be disintegrated, or metal to metal kind of things. But that would be the main area where I would be looking for a rebuild, at least to start. Now then, after that, obviously you can, you know, do as much painting or any of that you want. But the steering area, any parts that move, there's probably a bushing involved there. So those could be replaced. Let's see, number 3. I'm removing the rear seat on my cart. What hardware do I need to convert it back to a 2-passenger with basket and golf bag holders. Well, that's usually the opposite of what most people are doing, but in your case, if that's what you're wanting to do, that should be very easy. Obviously, you just need to get the stock basket and golf bag holder section that is completely removed every time someone has put a rear seat on their car. Well, the good news about that for you is that those are going to be readily available in the used market, considering how many people have put rear seats on their car that have removed those. So you could call up a golf cart shop and they may even give you one for free because they're going to have a big pile of them in the back from all the cars that they put the rear seat on. Now, obviously, you could order that new from, you could order that new OEM stuff if you wanted to, but you may be able to get one for free, is what I'm saying. Let's see. Number 4. I'm having a problem getting my HDK cart to go forward or backwards. Batteries and cables are okay, charged and tight. Well, I would want to check the obvious, would be, your cables and connections, like you've already said. It says you're having trouble getting it to go forward and backwards. Are you telling me that it actually moves a little bit forward and a little bit backwards? Well, if so, then I'm going to want battery readings off your batteries. I mean, I need to eliminate that as being any type of issue in the car not working. So I would need some battery readings off of that. So if you'd like, you could set up an appointment with myself or one of the other technicians at Golf Cart Garage. Just go to golfcartgarage.com, look for this Gearhead On Demand logo, and click on it. Time slots to show you what time everybody's available, and they'll call you at that time if you want to set up a phone call. Let's see. Number 5. I have a 2012 EZGO RXV. My brake light does not come on when the brake pedal is depressed. My headlights and taillights work fine otherwise. I changed the brake light switch under the floorboard, but that didn't help. Would you have any suggestions as where to look next? Thank you. That's from Joe P. Number 5. I actually remember speaking with Joe this past week on this question. And my questions were, did the brake lights ever work? And did they just now stop working? And he said that he did not know. He did not know if the brake lights ever worked because he just acquired this car. So what I advised him to do was to remove one of the taillights, bring it up on your workbench with a 12-volt battery, and see if you can make that see if you can make the brake lights come on, and see if you can make the tail lights come on with a 12-volt battery. And if you can't, then maybe the brake light section of the tail light is burned out. But if it does, then we go back to the wiring harness. So that's where he was at. I'm sure he'll call me back when he figures that one out. But that's what he's doing on that one. Number 6. How do I change headlight bulbs in a 2003 Yamaha golf cart? Well, that's going to depend. If you have headlights in a 2003, they could be the old style headlights, or they could be a new style of aftermarket LED lights that someone has installed. LED bulbs are not replaceable. So if it's the old style headlight with a halogen bulb, it's very easy. You just take the bulb out and you can find a new bulb on the internet. It's going to be the old, it's either going to be the push and turn and pull out type bulb, or it's going to be the other kind. I can't remember the numbers for the other kind. But those are readily available all over the internet. But if it's LEDs, then you might be out of luck if you've blown up your LED headlight. You might have to get a whole new headlight, is what I'm saying. Number 7. I have a 97 Club Car DS and I have 6 new batteries, and the cart still moves really slow. Well, on a 97 Club Car DS, you're going to have a V-glide, and your V-glide is your potentiometer. Your accelerator pedal, which as you press it, you're inside the V-glide, there's a wiper arm that goes across copper contacts, and when your accelerator pedal is on the floor, that wiper arm should be on the very last contact. And so that would be the first thing that I would check to make sure that that is going to full signal, because that sends a signal to the controller, tells the controller what to do. The controller in turn tells the motor what to do. So make sure that your accelerator pedal is going to full throttle is what I would check first, and then we go from there. Number 8. Hi Tim, my 89 club car just started doing this. Starts out normal speed and then gets slower and slower till just crawling along. Battery gauge goes to 0 during this problem, and then when stopped returns to fully charged. Check voltage and shows 40 volts across batteries. Batteries were fully charged and new batteries put in last November. Cart's 36 volt and uses the coil-type looking springs for resistance. From your description, your batteries have some issues. First of all, you should never be able to see 40 volts in a 36 volt car unless your charger was plugged into it. So that 40 volts that you're getting is either it's either deceptive voltage, like it's the batteries are really dead, or you got one that's way out of whack causing a 40 volts, or your voltmeter, your battery and your voltmeter is not correct, because after driving the car around, you should never be able to see 40 volts. So what you need to do is you need a proper load test done on your batteries, because it sounds like to me as if you have a battery issue, and I would need to get that cleared up before we went any further with that, because that 40 volts that would be weird that would be too weird. There'd be something wrong there. All right, this question is from Hugh. My batteries are very low. Charger comes on very low amps. All right, Hugh, I can tell you this: when your batteries are really, really low, like if they're really dead, but they're still enough to turn the charger on, sometimes that is how it works. You would put it in, a normal operation would be you plug it in and the charger goes to high amps immediately and then slowly drops through the night. But I have seen with batteries that are really dead, you plug the charger in, the charger will come on at low amps, and then it will slowly go up to high amps and then start coming back down. If you've let your batteries get too far out of whack, that's the way a charger will act. And because you said your batteries are very low, I'm thinking that they may just be really far out of whack. Now, if that is the case, your charger is going to work itself harder than it's supposed to, because it's going to be starting with a really, really dead battery pack, and it's got to get it up to the point where it starts taking amps good and then drop back down. So your charger is probably going to get really hot, so I would recommend putting a fan next to it and let it go. Just put a fan next to it, let it go. You might want to take some voltage readings while this is going on. And just make sure all that's working correctly. But your charger is probably going to get hot if it's trying to charge a battery pack that's that dead. All right, let's see. Number 10. I don't hear this is from Michael, I don't hear my 2006 36 volt charging when I plug it in power cable. Okay, well, what you want to do to verify if that is the case, you need to take your voltmeter, like this, and put your 2 leads on. You could do it on one of the batteries, or you could do it across the entire pack. It doesn't matter. You could just put it on one of the batteries and just leave them there. Leave the leads, one on the positive post and one on the negative post, and check your reading on your voltmeter to see what you're getting. See if you got an 8 volt battery, you should be getting 8 point something volts. If your car's a 6 volt, it should be 6 point something volts. If your car has 4 12 volts in it, it should be 12 point something volts. We'll see what your voltage is, and then plug your charger in. okay, into the car with your voltmeter reading still connected to the battery. You should see the voltage rise. If that charger is actually doing anything at all when it clicks and comes on, you should see the voltage rise on your voltmeter. If it's not rising, slowly rising, then you should be able to tell within the first 5 seconds or so if anything is happening. If nothing happening, then your charger's not coming on, and then we'd have to figure out why. But you would definitely see a rise in voltage if your charger was working. That'd be just a way that you could verify. Number 11. I am planning on a 215/40/14 tire for my cart, which is just slightly larger, 20.8 inch, than the 20.5 max listed for EZGO stock cars. Do you think that slight additional height will cause a problem? Well, I mean, at 20.5 for the max, that's just, that's just probably a safe number that was put out there. So now you're starting to push the envelope. You're starting to want to do 20.8. There's always going to be, you're going to always push it to the point to where eventually you're going to get something that's going to rub. It's not going to work correctly. So I don't know exactly where that point is, but that 20.5 is just a guideline for people to know that they could go that high and most likely not have an issue. But it's going to depend on wear items. Like, if the particular golf cart you're talking about has worn out leaf springs, or they're worn slightly, they're going to be worn different than other golf carts of different years. So then the additional height that you're talking about, 20.8, may rub. Just because of the leaf springs, or some wear items there. So it would be best if there was some way that you could try it first. Like maybe if one of your friends has that size tire, just put them on the front and ride around and see if it's going to be okay or not. Because I would never recommend it, because you're starting to push the envelope of rubbing there. Okay, let's see. Number 12. This is from Guz. It says, "Hi Tim, I saw your video on your charger. I am an old mechanic and I work on a few golf cars, and I'm helping the neighbor lady out. She has a 98 Club Car 48 volt. I replaced just about everything on the cart for her, including batteries, computer, and limit switches. I did not replace the controller or the solenoid. It is not charging. I have the same cart, but it's a 2002. The same battery charger also. Her cart will not charge. I use my battery charger on mine, it works. I use my battery charger on hers, it doesn't work. Unless the new computer could be bad, maybe, but it runs without me bypassing the computer, so it should be good. And again, it is a new computer. What else could it be? I'm stumped." Okay. Well, some key points to this. The controller and the solenoid have nothing to do with the charging circuit. So they could both be blown up and the car still charge. So they don't have anything to do with the charging circuit. So you can throw those out as being part of your problem. The main thing that has something to do with the charging circuit is the onboard computer. The onboard computer tells the charger to come on. It tells the charger how much juice to put in the car. It tells the charger to shut off. Now, when the onboard computer fails, it can fail generally they fail in two different ways. One way that it fails is that the charger will not come on. Another way that it can fail is that the charger will never shut off. Another way that it can fail is that the cart will not run. Now that one is less common. So when you said your cart runs so the computer is good, that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. Most of the time, a OBC will fail and it will only affect the charger. It doesn't. The car still runs fine and continues to run fine. So I noticed that you said something about there that the car runs so that means that the onboard computer is good. Well, that's not necessarily true. The main failure in onboard computers is the charging failure, where the charger will either not come on, it won't tell the charger to come on, or it will not tell it to shut off, and the charger just sits there and goes forever. So I hate to say that, but it sounds like you do have an onboard computer issue, especially since you switch chargers and one of them, and yours doesn't work. You know, the good charger doesn't work. Let's see, number 13. Just acquired an '88 EZGO Marathon, first ever golf cart, so it's a learning experience. It's having some electrical issues. I put a new solenoid on, but still it isn't always working and gets hot. Would it be the voltage regulator? Maybe ignition control module? Maybe I should just replace both because it sat outside for years. Well, since it sat outside for years, it could be a lot of things. Now, if the car will crank, if it does crank occasionally, then I would get it. I would have have a compression test done on it. You know, get a compression test, make sure that that's okay. But if it will crank, then you can tell whether or not your voltage regulator is working or not by if it's charging the battery. Like, you know, it's supposed to charge the battery just like an automobile does when the car cranks up, and the voltage regulator is directly responsible for doing that. If it goes out, it's not going to charge the battery anymore. So if you can get the thing to crank in neutral, you know, crank it in neutral, and then check the battery voltage, make sure that the battery voltage is rising when it cranks. After it cranks up, it should rise up to 13 or 14 volts, something like that. So if that's the case, then your voltage regulator is fine, but you got to get the car to run first. So if it won't run, then I would suggest a compression test since it's a 1988. Number 14. How do I test a solenoid on a 99 club car? Well, in a 99, it could be a series electrical system, or it could be a regenerative braking electrical system. If it's a series electrical system, you have to think about it like this. A solenoid is nothing more than an electrically operated on-off switch. That's all it is. You've got the two small posts on a solenoid, and then you've got the two big posts on top. The only thing that solenoid does is when it's activated is it connects those two big posts on top. It's like it connects those 2 points together and makes one straight wire going across. That's all it does. And you activate that switch with the small post. So you first need to know, that's why I always want to know if the solenoid clicks on your car. When a customer tells me the car won't run or anything, I need to know when key on, in forward, touch the gas pedal or accelerator pedal, do you hear the solenoid click? If they do, if the solenoid is clicking, then that tells me that there's a whole lot of stuff not wrong with the car, that everything is working all the way up to the solenoid. It's getting activated because you hear the click. So it's getting activated. So I know there's voltage going to the small post. So that's what you need to first find out. Are you getting voltage at the small post upon accelerator pedal activation? Do you see full battery pack voltage at the small post? And if you do see battery pack voltage at the small post, do you hear the solenoid click? If the solenoid clicks, then that means you're getting power past the solenoid. I mean, you're getting power to the solenoid, not necessarily past it. I have seen solenoids click that were still bad. Not a lot. It has happened to me in my shop. But so I would lean toward, if it's clicking, it's probably fine. But that's not always true 100% of the time. Well, nothing is true 100% of the time when you're talking about electrical systems, I can tell you that. But most of the time, if the solenoid's clicking, it's fine. Okay. Now, if it's a regen cart, you can do the same thing. Just I would recommend removing the wires off of the solenoid, and then checking for activation at the small post and listening for the click. But I would recommend removing the resistor that goes across, removing all the diode and the resistor, and checking it without any of that in your way, because that can get confusing a little bit. let's see here, number 15. Hi, I have a Club Car Onward lifted cart gas, and a mechanic made it go faster using the governor as seen in YouTube, but the cart jerks a lot when at low speeds. Well, that is the con. What you're describing there, that would, there's pros and cons of adjusting the governor on a golf cart. Well, that is the con of adjusting a governor on a golf cart. When you adjust the governor, it makes the cart go faster, but if you go too far with adjusting the governor and you try to make it go as fast as you possibly can, it's going to affect your low speed driving, the low speed of your car. It's going to be jerky and all over the place, and you're not going to like it. So if you need to go slow, if you ever need to drive slow in your golf cart at a slow, steady, smooth pace, don't mess with the governor. Speed your car up some other kind of way. Put high-speed gears in it. If it's I know taller tires will get you a little bit faster. Then high-speed gears on top of that will get you even faster. But I would leave the governor in place. If you really need to tamper with the governor that much, then there are engine swap kits that you can get that will be a more powerful engine. But I've never been a fan of playing with the governors too much. I mean, a little bit, yeah, you can adjust them a little bit. I mean, they set all golf cars at the factory when they're coming down the assembly line. There's a guy there with his tools. That's all he does is set the governor. As the gas car comes down the assembly line, it sits right in front of him. He sits there and he pushes it with his foot, and he revs it up, and he twists the governor, and he gets it to wherever it needs to be set, wherever that particular car needs to be set. Usually somewhere between 12 to 16 miles an hour for a golf course. But that will provide smoothness at low speed and provide the top end speed, of 18 or 16, whatever it is set for. But when you start trying to go further than that with the governor, you do lose your low speed stuff. Number 16. We already have a windshield on our golf cart. This is from 𝗵𝗐. We do not want the drop down front plastic cover. Is there a way to attach the cover without the drop down front plastic cover and still have the front of the cover secured for no wind coming in the cart from the front part of the cover? I remember speaking with 𝗵𝗐 about this. Turns out what they were looking for, they just didn't know exactly what it was called or how to word it. They were just looking for a new 3-sided enclosure because their cart already has a windshield, so it has a full windshield. So they just needed they were looking at an enclosure that actually had a plastic that took the place of a windshield. But lots of cars already have windshields, so that's why there are lots of different choices for 3-sided enclosures. The enclosure goes on both sides and the back, so because your windshield blocks the wind in the front. So that turns out that's what she needed on that particular thing. Okay, number 17. This is from David. My universal horn came with 2 terminals, but my EZGO electric 48-volt cart has a 3 female connector. How do I adapt from the cart plug to the 2-terminal horn? Well, a horn switch, I would think, would only be 2 connections. You're just breaking a wire and putting it back together every time you push the button. So the way that I would try to figure this out, if it was in my shop, the wiring harness on your car, where the 3 female connectors are, put your voltmeter leads inside those connectors and press the horn button and see which 2 that you can figure out are making 12 volts, positive and negative 12 volts, and only use those 2 wires on your new horn switch. Because if you do, that's going to turn your horn on. If you can make those 2, find the 2 wires that are just going on and off, and your horn should blow, because the horns operate off of 12 volts. So you're going to have to experiment with the three connectors you said you had, and find your 12 volts out of those 3 connectors. Find the 2 that are putting 12 on and when you push the button and 12 off when you let go. Hook those two to your new horn and don't worry about the third one, and see if that can solve your problem. That's the only thing I could think of on that one. Okay, let's see. We're going to go over to that's it for the regular questions. We're going to go over to Facebook and YouTube, see if we have anything. Let's see, on Facebook, we got Tanya Freeman Billings. Well, that's my sister again. This guy knows his stuff. Good job, brother. Hello, Tanya. Tell everybody I said hi. Let's see. Let's go over to YouTube. Got a question here from Thomas Mack. Hello, I have a 2011 Yamaha Drive. My charger model is that charger model. Do you know if this charger cycles on and off to maintain the batteries? I don't think it does. I do not think it does. I'm fairly sure that that car, 2011, does not have an onboard, does not have any type of computer or anything that would cause that charger to cycle on and off. So that particular charger, when it shuts off, it's off. And as far as I can remember, it does not come back on unless you were to physically unplug it and plug it back in. That's why we sell the Summit 2 charger. We're the #1 seller of the Lester Summit 2 charger because it does have a storage mode function that will keep your batteries up when you leave your cart. Most golf cart chargers do not have that. I mean, a club car with an onboard computer actually does have a similar function to it, but they don't have those in newer club cars anymore. So the Summit 2 takes care of a lot of stuff as far as storage mode, and I'm assuming that's what you're asking about because you're having a storage mode issue or you have to leave your cart for a long period of time. But no, I do not think that your cart, your charger comes back on. I do not think so, Thomas. Let's see here. That's about it on YouTube and Facebook. I'll check again before we leave. I wanted to mention that we are about to, starting next week, we're about to kick off season 2 of Extreme Golf Cart Makeover. More information to come. I'm just giving everybody a heads up. There's going to be more details to come. But look for this. Look for this logo right here. This is Extreme Golf Cart Makeover Season 2. There would be on the lookout for more information about that. Season 1 was a big success. Season 2 is even going to be bigger. More money involved, more prizes involved. But you need to just keep an eye out for that for Dave. I'm sure everybody's familiar with Dave and his videos. It's going to be bigger and better than it was for Season 1. And Season 1 was, like I said, was a big success. All right, let's see. That looks like it's going to be about it for me this week. Check and see if anybody still came in over there. Nope. Facebook, we're good. All right. Well, I guess I will see everybody next week. We'll be back. And the garage is now closed.